And we will like to the summit of the Group of the 77 and China held in Havana. Let's listen what the President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva.
I would like to greet President Miguel Diaz-Canel and the Cuban people for their hospitality. It is of special meaning for me that in this moment of great geopolitical transformations, this summit meeting is being held here in Havana. Cuba has been an advocate for a more fair global governance system. Until today, is the victim of an illegal economic embargo. Brazil is against any kind of coercive measure of unilateral nature. We reject the inclusion of Cuba in the list of the states that sponsor terrorism. My dear friends, since I took office in my new term, I have been in different fora with the presence of developing countries like CELAC, the BRICS, and the G20. But none of these spaces has the same diversity and scope of the G77. Our group corresponds to 79% of the world population and 49% of the global GDP in terms of purchasing power parity. Almost 60 years ago, when it was created, it has been, the G77, a vector of important changes in the multilateral institutions. The G77 was fundamental to expose the anomalies of the global trade system and defend the construction of a new international economic order. Unfortunately, many of our demands were never met. The world governance continues to be asymmetric. The UN, the Bretton Woods system, and the WTO are losing credibility. We cannot split ourselves. We should forge a common vision that will take into consideration the concerns of those countries that have medium and low income and other groups that are more vulnerable. The strategy is that the G77 for the first time has been dedicating, it is strategic that the summit G77 is dedicating a summit meeting dedicated to the theme science, technology, innovation. In the last years, we had an increase in terms of our share of the world GDP invested in research and development, but this increase did not happen in a uniform way. Latin America, the Caribbean region, and the sub-Saharan Africa go against this tendency. Other inequalities prevail. It's very disappointing that the women that make up 31% the total of researchers, are only 31% are women. We have to reinforce our demands in the light of the fourth industrial revolution. There are two major transformations that are underway. They cannot be shaped by a bunch of rich economies publishing once again the dependency between center and periphery. The first one is the digital revolution. Advances with network computing, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, cutting-edge biotechnology, and the digitization bring new possibilities that some decades ago we could never imagine. But these innovations have threatening collateral effects. The big multinationals of the technology industry have a business model that increases the wealth concentration, does not respect labor laws, and many times they feed the violation of human rights and foster extremism. We undertake the risk that go from losing privacy to the use of autonomous weapons and going through the racist bias of many algorithms. The Digital Global Pact of the UN offers us an opportunity to mitigate these challenges and allow that the benefits of new technologies could be benefited by all. The idea to establish a scientific panel for artificial intelligence we welcome this idea, but it's necessary to guarantee the participation of experts from the developing world. The project of global guidelines for the regulation of digital platforms from UNESCO balances freedom of speech and access to information with the need to prohibit the dissemination of content that go against international law or threaten democracy and human rights. The second major change that is underway in the world is the energy transition. The climate emergency imposes new imperatives, but a fair transition brings also opportunities. With that, we can have an air that is cleaner, rivers without contamination, cities that welcome us in a better way, food of quality at the table, decent jobs, and children more healthy. It was with this firm conviction that last month we held the Amazon Summit meeting in the state of Pará in Brazil, in the city of Belém. The declaration that we have adopted foresees a broad agenda of scientific cooperation and values the knowledge of the Amazon institutions and communities. The Amazon Regional Observatory will systematize and monitor data to guide public policies and make them more efficient. We would like to take advantage of the genetic assets that we have in our biodiversity with a fair share of our benefits, but keeping our intellectual property on resources and traditional knowledge. We will promote a sustainable industrialization, investing in renewable sources of energy with social bioeconomy and agriculture that it will have low carbon. We will do all that without forgetting that we do not have the same historical debt that the rich countries carry for causing the global warming. The principle of common responsibility but differentiated continues valid. And so that's why the climate funding has to be assured to all the developing countries according to their needs and their priorities. On the way to COP28 in Dubai and COP30 that will be held in the city of Belém, the state of Pará in Brazil, it will be necessary to insist in the implementations of the commitments that were never followed by the rich countries, developed countries. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, during the 80s, Brazil was a pioneer in the South-South cooperation in terms of science, technology, and innovation. When we established partnership in the nuclear field with Argentina and in the spatial area with China. These two initiatives of cooperation have brought benefits till today. When we reclaim the protagonism of Brazil in the world, we confer special attention to scientific cooperation and technological cooperation between the developing countries in our foreign policy. We will give a new trigger to programs and regional programs through the CELAC, BRICS, and the Portuguese-speaking language countries. The collaboration with Angola and Mozambique and many other countries in Africa demonstrate that the sharing of knowledge, policies, and Brazilian technologies can help us to give a quality leap forward in terms of the agriculture output and in the production of drugs and medication. Under the Brazilian chair of the G20, we will propose the creation of a working group in science, technology, and innovation to leverage the interests of the developing countries in this field. In New Delhi, we participate in the launch of the Global Alliance for Biofuels. Our objective is to show the potential of bioenergy in the context of the energy transition. Dear friends, at the end of the Cold War, the South Commission, led by Julius Nyerere, gathered dozens of intellectuals, diplomats, and leadership from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and amongst them, my dear friend Mahoman Singh and the Brazilians Celso Furtado and Paulo Arns, so that we can build a common vision for development. A second edition of the South Commission will allow us to update our vision on sustainable development on the basis of our own realities and priorities in the light of the digital revolution and in the light of a fair transition. I will leave this suggestion to Gand, for which I wish success in the chair of the G77 from next year. The countries from the Global South have all the conditions to occupy the vanguard of science, technology, and innovation. For that, we have to go back and act together, because together we'll be stronger, as we did already in the past. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
We are grateful for the intervention of His Excellency Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil. I am pleased to give the floor to the Prince Faisal bin Fahad Al Saud, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
We were listening to the statements of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, President of Brazil, who is present at the summit of the Group 77 held in Havana on September 15 and 16th. Lula thanked Cuba for the invitation and for his hospitality. He highlighted the need of building a new world economic order and the importance of energy transition in order to fight the environmental effects damaging the world. More breaking news coming up. Stay tuned.